It's time for health tips. Now here's your host, Dr. Alma Jenkins.
Good evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Alma Jenkins, and this is Health Tips. Before we get started, let me just invite you to send in any interesting, healthy recipe that you want us to try here on the show, and we may want to ask you to come on and show us how to make that. Rest assured that whatever recipe you send to us, we're going to try it, see how we like it, and if we do, we may invite you to come on the show or maybe to send us your dish or something. But we'll get together with you. So I would like to invite you to send in whatever healthy recipe that you have, that you like, that tastes good. Because, you know, so often one of the excuses that people have for not eating healthily is that a lot of the healthy stuff doesn't taste that good. And that's just because of the way it's prepared. For sure, I can tell you that it does seem to cost a bit more to eat healthily than it does to eat unhealthily. But then again, you can offset that by doing certain things. For instance, I planted a garden in my backyard now, and I'm happy to tell you that when it's done, I'll be able to make a salad just by going out in the garden and picking my lettuce, my cucumbers, you know, those kinds of things. I've grown some onions, lettuce, squash, okra, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. So I even planted something out of season. I didn't realize planted collards. They grew up, but the bugs are eating them, so I'm having to do things with that. But it's so gratifying to walk out in the morning before I go to work and just look at my garden. I put some tomatoes in a pot, so I have the potted tomatoes, and I'm looking forward to those coming up. So being able to grow your vegetables and go out in your garden and get them, I understand now why people fall in love with gardening. It's really wonderful. I recommend it. Growing your own food. There's just something, I don't know, really great about that. Besides making your life cheaper, you know, you're going to be growing the same thing. You shell money out of your pocket to go to the grocery store. And let me just tell you something else that I fell in love with too. I'm going to let you just take a minute. I'm going to step away from the camera for just a second. But I want to show you something because I'm not a spokesman for this, but I just want to show this to you because I did this, and these are little containers that have a pellet. Now it comes in, I'm not even going to put the name of it there. But they have these little pellets. If you look, you'll see pellets in there. Those pellets, when you put water in them, they rise. And you plant stuff in each one of those. So you can get the seeds and put the seeds in there. You put the seeds in there. And then once you pour water in it and it rises, it's soil. And then you plant your seeds in there. And then you put this little top here on it. You'll see that it says burpee, so you can't help but see that. But that's okay. Gives credit where credit is due. You put this top on there, okay? And it's like a little greenhouse. So for those of you who want to start from seed in growing your garden, let me encourage you, you don't have to get burpee. You can get it. This thing comes, you know, different companies make it. But you can go ahead and get your seeds and put in there and plant. And in a few weeks, they're coming up. And then you can transplant this into your garden outside and grow your food. I mean, you can do this with anything that has seeds. And let me tell you, it works. I put something in there, and I'm telling you, in a few weeks, really, I think less than a week, I was seeing something growing up. Certainly in a few weeks, you'll start to see something with a lot of these plants. So I encourage that, and you'll be so proud of yourself. Those of you who have children, it's a great way for them to see where they get their food from. And I planted some lettuce, and the lettuce is ready to eat. I think I may have planted this, I don't know, now almost a month ago now, and the stuff is the lettuce is clearly ready to eat. It wasn't even a month, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. But it's so gratifying, and I wanted to just put in a word for that. I'm gonna try to, if I can. I don't want to promise you this, but hopefully at some point we can get a picture of my garden and show you. But I sent off online and got the raised bed. And when I got the raised bed, then I put soil in there and just planted seeds. Most of this is from seed. Some of it is from little plantlings, but most is from seeds. So we've gotten that out of the way. Now the next thing I want to tell you is that June is Men's Health Month. That makes sense, doesn't it? Because Father's Day is in June. June is Men's Health Month. So I went ahead and sort of addressed this for you. There are 2 things in Men's Health Month that I want to say a word about. One of them is the prostate. You know, I want you to practice preventive medicine, preventive health, meaning let's not wait till we're sick and then we've got to deal with it. Let's be preventive. So men, this month, have you had your prostate checked? Have you had a test called PSA? You know what that stands for? Prostate specific antigen. It's a prostate cancer detection test, blood test. Have you had that? I would say any African American man 40 or over should get a PSA. Okay, I know that for the general population it's probably later, but in the African American population, prostate cancer is practically an epidemic. So we need to really do that. But in general, men, all those over 50, should have a PSA somewhere in the record. Okay? Because detected early, this can be dealt with successfully. Okay? And then the second thing I want to encourage you to do is get your colonoscopy. Okay? As a gastroenterologist, of course I'm going to recommend that. And who gets the colonoscopy? Well, let me fix this so that you can see. Okay. All right. So who's eligible for colonoscopy? Every man or woman 50 or over. Okay? So if you're 50 or over, for sure. However, if you have risk factors, you may need to get it before 50. For instance, if your mother or your father had colon cancer, they were younger than 50 and in their 40s, and we have seen that, then you should be getting your colonoscopy 10 years before that was diagnosed. So that would be getting it in your 30s. But most people are not that way. So if you have had a parent or a first-degree relative who had early colon cancer, you know, they were under 50, then you may need to get it before 50. If you have had a colonoscopy and you had polyps, this is one of the risk factors. And let's say you had your colonoscopy for some reason in your 40s and you had polyps, then you should get a colonoscopy every 5 years. Every 5 years from the time that you have been told that you had colon polyps. Okay? So polyps are a risk factor. And I just said colon cancer is a risk factor, whether you had it or your first degree relatives had it. Okay? So those are things I want you to be aware of. And I want to make it a point to ask you to be aware of it this month, because this is Men's Health Month. So there are 2 things I want you men to focus on this month, among other things that you may have to focus on, but prostate health and colon health. If you can be successful in those 2 areas, that takes care of a lot of the problem health-wise that you need to be screened for. It's not everything, but it's 2 of the things that I think are quite important, okay? I want you to pass that on. So everybody who's seeing this show tonight, pass on the fact that this is Men's Health Month, and so you want to focus on those two things. At least we'll have that looked at. And then, what else are we going to do? We're going to cook a little bit. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to make something kind of like a panini, but it's vegetarian. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this on the stove. I'm going to saute some peppers and some mushrooms. You can put onions in here too if you like. But we're going to do a modified grilled cheese sandwich, but it'll be more like a panini. This is cheese, but it's vegetarian cheese, so it doesn't have animal product in it. So I'm going to use vegetarian cheese because I'm not a strict vegetarian, but generally I try and eat fish as my main meat. Sometimes I'll have chicken if that's all that's around, but that's just my preference. Doesn't mean you have to do that. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a sandwich, and we're going to saute some spinach, and we'll have some slices of fruit, and we're going to have a little meal. This will be like maybe lunch, okay? So we've got the oil in the pan here, and I have some mushrooms here. I'm going to spice it up a little bit, and then we're going to put the cheese on it, and then I'm going to put it in my little panini maker. Okay? So let's get with it. Let's go ahead and put the mushrooms in here. Okay? And let's go ahead and cut up a little bit of, I've got a really nice sharp knife. I like that. It saves so much time when you have a nice knife. And I'm gonna cut this a little bit more. And then I'm gonna put this in here. Okay, we're not gonna use all this on the sandwich because the bread is small, you'll see. And then I'm gonna season it with some garlic salt. I have from Spice Bouquet, that's a shop in Kinston. This is salad seasoning, and I found that when I put this in there, it tasted really good. So I'm putting some salad. I recommend it. It's on Highway 70. I put quite a good bit on there that time. And a little lemon juice, okay? All right. I'll turn it down a little bit too. Sometimes I cook on high a little much. Now, when I find that it's looking a little dry, the seasoning makes you sneeze. Put a little more olive oil in there. Okay. That's looking good there. Now I'm going to use some of my ground pepper just because I love ground pepper. Okay. I'm going to let that do that a little bit more. And then for the bread, I live near Harris Teeter, so I tend to buy some of their bread that they've sliced up and all. And this one has a little cheese in it. But I'm going to take some of this bread and I'm going to use, I can't believe it's butter. Put some of that on there, like so. I can't believe it's not butter, is the name of it. Put this on like that. I do the outside. And that's as much as I'm going to saute that. Now notice that small bread, okay? And I'm going to put some on both sides of the bread, because one side that's next to the machine, it helps when you butter that. And of course this isn't real butter. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spread this on here. It's a little messy, okay? We'll fix that, though. Don't worry about it. You're not trying to win a neat contest. All right. You got that on there. And whatever's left, we'll use that another time. And then I'll take some cheese. Now, if you have other cheeses that you want to put on there, that's fine. I can get a little Butterfinger here and there. But the only cheese I have is this cheese. So I'm going to put the cheese on there. I'm going to put 2 cheeses on there. Okay. And then my bread. Now you can put different kinds of cheese on there if you like. Now, this is the panini maker. Put it right here. Now that will press that, and it will eventually make a nice kind of a panini sandwich. You can press on if you like, but you don't really have to. Now notice I have some left here. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to turn the owl back on. Okay. I'm going to let that get warm. And I'm going to leave what's left in there Put a little more oil in there. And guess what else I'm going to put in there now? I'm going to put my spinach. For those of you who don't like spinach, try this. You've seen me do this before. And you spritz, again, some lemon juice in there. Some pepper. I'm going to put my salad seasoning in here. It's got like some Italian stuff in there. And I'm going to do the same thing. Similar spice in there. Okay. And just a little whiz of salt, not much. Okay. And then I'm going to saute this. Ooh, that's looking good. Look how the color of that spinach just comes alive. Now, you know, you can always sample it as you're going to see how it goes. Maybe we'll have some time left over that we can exercise. I'm going to taste a little bit of this spinach. Oh, it's good. Now, you can salt that to taste. It's definitely not too salty. In fact, it may be able to use a little bit more. I didn't put much in it because of the salad seasoning, which is not salty. So I'm going to turn that owl off now. And I'm going to put this on the plate. Look at that. Let's look at our, it's looking good. It's not quite ready yet. Okay. I'm going to taste another little piece of this and see. That is good. It's slightly on the fresh tasting side for those who can't use much salt. You can always put a little bit more. Remember that the salad seasoning, again, let me show it to you. Spice Bouquet salad seasoning. It gives it a nice taste, but you don't taste much in terms of salt. So you may want to sprinkle some in, just enough to give it a salt to taste. You know what you like. But this is great, and people who have hypertension won't suffer a bit with that. So that is great. Now, periodically, I look at my what I call my panini maker. Okay, look at that. I like it to brown on top a little bit more, okay? And while that's doing that, I'm gonna get what we have to drink while you look at how pretty that is. I'm gonna show you something else here. Something that I like, okay? I'm going to have some silk almond milk with it. I love almond milk. For those of you who can't drink dairy, who cannot do dairy, try some almond milk. You'll love it. It's delicious. Some of it is sweetened and some of it is not. The sweetened is, of course, delicious. The unsweetened is not bad either. I can take either, but I love almond milk. Let me see what we have here. We're almost ready. Now, sometimes if you want to rush it up, you can always press on the handle a little bit. But I think I'd prefer to just let it naturally go ahead and make the panini. It doesn't take long. And some of you have gone to the deli or to the little shops and ordered a panini. This is basically how they do it. Okay? So I'm going to take this out in just about a few more minutes. But while that's working, I want you to go ahead and take your cans out. All right, you got your cans. Let's do like 10 repetitions of raising our arm while our panini is getting ready. And by that time, it'll be brown enough. 1, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. 2, 3, 4. Ooh, let's look at it. We don't want it to burn. Okay, let's take it like this, okay? All righty. Now what we'll do is cut that. Let me get my knife. I had a really nice sharp knife. Here it is. Cut our panini sandwich. It's hot now, so you gotta watch yourself. Okay? I love the cheese. Okay? And I went ahead and cut up some apple slices. Okay. Now, look at that. Is that inviting looking or not for lunch? That's enough for lunch right there. That should fill you up. And it's not, you know, it's power packed. I think that you won't finish eating that and then feel like you just got to go somewhere and go to sleep. Okay. I think that the spinach will give you some energy. And then you can have some almond milk with it. All right. So we're going to let that cool down a little bit. And we're going to do a few more reps of this. And then we're going to taste our lunch. Look how quickly that was done. How long did that take? It did not take 30 minutes. It took maybe 10 minutes. Not long at all. And we're going to unplug our little panini maker here. Okay, that's going to start cooling. 1, 2, ready, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4. Come on, we've got about almost 4 minutes left. Let's exercise, and then when the last minute or so, we'll taste our meal. It would have cooled off a little bit. Let's see how it tastes. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 15. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 2, 3, 4. Now let's just march in place. Swing those arms, march in place. Swing, swing, march in place. Are you all doing this when you're not watching? When you're not watching the show, are you doing your exercises at least 4 times a week? I want to see you in shape for the summer, because you know this summer you're going to want to put your bathing suits on, go to the beach. You're going to want those midriffs to be in. And men, you don't want that stomach hanging all out here with your belt up under it. How many of you have that problem? Start working on it, because remember, that is bad fat. All fat is not equal in distribution. So when it's distributed largely in the waist, That is a heart health hazard. So we need to get rid of that, okay? So to do that, you're going to need to not only do this, but do some crunches where you're lying on the floor and sitting up if you can. And, you know, just any kind of exercise is going to cause you to lose some weight if you also follow a decent diet, okay? Let's stop now and see what we have here. Okay, so we're going to taste our veggie here. I got some mushrooms with it. That's really good. And then of course we have our sandwich. Got some spinach on it. Okay, look, it's nice and brown on one side. It's good. It really is. And I don't know that you're going to be able to tell that this is not animal sourced cheese. Really. That is delicious. Let me see what this one looks like on the side. Oh, okay. See, it may brown more on one side than the other because this side is flat on the pan. The other side, it depends on how much the lid is down, okay? But that is delicious. I think you're gonna love it. So ladies and gentlemen, look what we have. We have a nice lunch, and I think you'd enjoy that. Let me know if you want to tweak that a little bit and tell me about it. I'm Dr. Alma Jenkins. Thank you for watching. Good night.